Investigators have called it one of the biggest corruption cases ever. And now the Wall Street Journal is reporting that US authorities are planning to file criminal charges against Malaysian financier Low Taek Jho, also known as Jho Low. He's been called a key person of interest in the money laundering investigation into Malaysian State Investment Fund 1MDB. The scandal revolves around accusations that Low helped siphon off billions of dollars from the fund, which was founded by Malaysian Prime Minister Najib Razak in 2009. The fund has lost nearly $12 billion due to bad administration. Najib has been accused of receiving more than $1 billion into offshore accounts. He has said it was a political donation by the Saudi royal family and has denied any wrongdoing. Now, US authorities are looking for those $1 billion in the form of assets, including Van Gogh and Monet paintings, as well as luxury properties. If Low is arrested, it could add to the calls by opposition parties for Najib to step down. Journalist Zan Azlee joins me now live from the Malaysian capital, Kuala Lumpur. Zan, thank you very much for being on Money Talks. Let's start with what the reaction has been in Kuala Lumpur to this latest revelation in the long 1MDB saga.
Well, the situation in Kuala Lumpur, or in Malaysia in general, is a little bit weird if you look at it, because the 1MDB scandal and controversy has been reported quite a bit in the media, in the international media, and even in the local media here in Malaysia. Now, the fact that it has been reported so long, and if we look at Malaysia itself, locally, no action has been taken, investigations has been done. The Malaysian authorities have actually cleared the Prime Minister Najib Razak of any wrongdoing, saying that the money was actually legal donations that were obtained. So I think there has been a little bit of fatigue among the maybe the local media and also Malaysians in general with the scandal, because nothing has been happening here in Malaysia. We do know that internationally investigations have been going on. As you mentioned just now, the United States are planning to actually take action against Jho Low. In Singapore itself, we've seen actually 4 private bankers already being charged and convicted for being involved in the 1MDB scandal, and latest they actually banned Goldman Sachs banker, ex-financial banker, from actually practicing in the financial industry in Singapore for 10 years. So, you know, Switzerland is also actually doing investigations, conducting investigations. Only in Malaysia, the investigations have kind of been quiet.
The 1MDB scandal, though, has had a tangible impact on the Malaysian economy. If we rewind back to 2015, for example, this was one of the reasons why the Malaysian ringgit became one of the world's worst performing emerging market currencies. What has been the long-term impact on the Malaysian economy of this scandal?
Well, a lot of the Malaysian public believe that it is because of the 1MDB scandal that the drop of the Malaysian currency, the ringgit, has been happening, and it has been continuing to drop. But of course, if you look at what the Malaysian government is saying, is that it is not related to the 1MDB scandal. They say that it is a global recession, and that's why the currency is dropping, and that's why the economy is getting worse. But the Malaysian public really, a lot of them actually do believe that it is indirectly probably related to the 1MDB scandal, because there is slowly becoming a lack of confidence in the governance of Malaysia. And yes, I think it will have long-term impact in the economy of Malaysia. We'll just have to wait and see how the Malaysian government actually handles it, how long they can actually keep the public at bay in trying to maintain confidence that the economy will improve and that it's not related to the 1MDB scandal.
Zan Azlee in Kuala Lumpur, thank you ever so much. Now, let's get a broader perspective on the 1MDB scandal now from our editor at Large, Craig Copetas, who's in Paris. Craig, thank you ever so much. As always, let's start by looking at the jurisdictions where the 1MDB issue is being investigated. They include the US and Singapore and several others. How could these foreign governments work together to bring about criminal action against people like Jho Low?
Well, the investigation was triggered by the U.S. using a topic we've discussed frequently on money talks, and that's the extraterritorial enforcement of U.S. law in any event that involves a U.S. bank or U.S. dollars. Now, in this instance, the U.S. Justice Department has been fortunate because the Singaporean judiciary and government is collaborating with them on an investigation and possibly a prosecution. So that's the dynamic of it. What's curious here is that the Malaysians, as our previous guest pointed out, have essentially circled the wagons. In Malaysia, Jho Low would appear to be clean, and certainly the Prime Minister would appear to be clean in all of this based on what the government has done so far. So Jho Low's exposure is not in Malaysia. It's in other venues where U.S. dollars and U.S. banks, and perhaps Singaporean currency as well, was spent.
Craig, you've written extensively about corruption, including people like Mark Rich, the founder of the company that eventually became Glencore. What parallels do you see between the 1MDB scandal and some of these other scandals that you've written about?
Well, you know, Jho Low, who's only 35, he believes he's a master of the universe, like Mark Rich. In fact, he cites Mark Rich as his inspiration. This is a young man who has delusions of grandeur that only money can afford. And what is going on here is that he's being empowered by the Malaysian government. There's no doubt about that. I mean, let's think about this for a moment. The question really is, forget the legal phrasing as, you know, did this guy loot some $3.5 billion from what's essentially the Malaysian sovereign investment fund? And the United States government saying, yeah, it looks like that you did, but the country where this event happened is apparently protecting him. And guess what? He's not so sure of that. So like Mark Rich, Jho Low, who's not J Lo, is lying low in China because China doesn't have an extradition treaty, just like Mark Rich skedaddled to Switzerland, which at the time did not have an extradition treaty with the United States.
Craig Copetas in Paris, thank you ever so much.